We've got to light more sparks all across America.
Well, last time I checked, that probably would include South Carolina, but that state's in the fight of its life to protect about 1,000 factory jobs from a D.C. labor board suit. And it's Attorney General Alan Wilson joins me right now. Mr. Attorney General, where does this fight stand? I know there's going to be a hearing on this very issue in your fine state. The NLRB will not be attending. Where does this stand?
Well, right now the NLRB is going to be hearing this on June 14th in Washington State, and South Carolina, along with many other states, are watching the NLRB's actions with bated breath. I couldn't agree with what Stephen Moore said in the previous segment when he talked about the president's initiatives to train young people to take jobs. Unfortunately, we're funding organizations or bureaucracies like the National Labor Relations Board, which are chasing jobs away. And if you're a fan of the National Labor Relations Board or a fan of unions, you should be very concerned with what's going on right now. Jobs or job creators like Boeing and even smaller businesses are going to be scared off of coming to states like Washington and other union states.
Well, have you seen that? Have there been any moves that you've detected in your state where businesses that prior to the whole Boeing dust-up were considering going to South Carolina because it is a right-to-work state, we're now looking at the bad press and the headlines and saying no?
Well, I was with our governor, Nikki Haley, at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce several weeks ago talking about this very issue. And when I spoke with individuals at the U.S. Chamber, they're hearing from folks on the international level that are looking at coming to this country, and they're saying that they no longer want to bring their businesses to this country because of the regulations and the I want to call it attacks by the National Labor Relations Board. I kind of liken it to a roach motel. If you go to a union state, you can check in, but you can never check out, at least not without the union's help. So it is crippling the ability of businesses like Boeing and others to create jobs, and that's what this is all about, jobs.
They say, the NLRB says this is about killing jobs. In other words, swamping what they have in terms of union workers in Washington State and hiring non-union workers in South Carolina. Now, I know very well that Boeing has not done that. It's just expanding its business, not laying off any workers in Washington State, hiring new workers for a different project, an expanded project in your state. But that's the argument that they are pushing, and they hope it resonates. Do you think it will?
Well, first off, it's hard. You know, they're entitled to their own opinion. They're not entitled to their own facts. Since the NLRB, or since Boeing decided to expand its operations in South Carolina, it created 2,000 more jobs in Washington State, 2,000 more union members jobs in South Carolina. So I don't see how the union has been harmed here by Boeing. So I think their understanding of the facts is not quite accurate.
Now, I know they are planning a congressional hearing in your state, and I think the head of the NLRB had declined to participate because of this litigation. But does that make this, I guess, congressional fact-finding mission a waste of time?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I'm glad that members of Congress, especially in our delegation, are looking heavily at this issue. I mean, this is an issue that we all need to be looking at. I read recently that Congressman, I believe it was Chaffetz of Utah, was proposing legislation to take away the NLRB's ability to bring its own litigation, and in the future would have to go through the Department of Justice. I think we need to look at the NLRB and how its approach to regulating business relationships with unions, because it is having an adverse negative effect. I read recently, Neil, that 9 states that are union states have lost 9 congressional seats to 9 right-to-work states. That's because businesses are fleeing the policies that individuals at the NLRB promote. And if they're doing that internally within the United States, what do you think it's going to do internationally? They're going to run from the way unions do business. I'm not against unions, but I am against the union thuggery that the NLRB is supporting right now and chasing away jobs. Real
quickly, I know you were at this hearing today, this healthcare hearing. You might have heard our judge saying that this is invariably going to go to the Supreme Court, but that this court could slap down, this Florida judge, effectively slapping down the entire healthcare law and slapping down the provision that says the government can force you to buy health insurance. What was your reading from the 3 judges?
Well, they were trying to distinguish between economic activity, which we all agree that sitting on the couch at home, minding your own business and not entering into private contracts to buy health insurance is not economic activity. One of the judges on the panel asked if that wasn't an economic decision. If the court's going to look at whether or not something's an economic decision and that would allow Congress to regulate it under its commerce power, then everything that we do essentially an economic decision. Whether or not you eat at McDonald's or Burger King for lunch, or whether or not you decide to buy a rake at the hardware store is an economic decision. So if the Congress can regulate anything that is an economic decision, then it can regulate anything you do in your life. And that is not what our founders envisioned.
So it sounds
when
to
they
me
drafted
like
the
they're going to
Constitution.
overturn this Florida judge, and up we go to the Supreme Court, right?
No matter what happens, we're going to the Supreme
I
Court.
hear. Attorney General, thank you very much. Good seeing you.
Thank you.